the church will continue to move forward. The church would prosper in either way. And the best way the church prospers is always during times of persecution. That's the time the church grows. When the church is not being persecuted, we get lazy. We get comfortable. We want air conditioning, we want heat, we want soft seats. We get comfortable. But when you go to China and they're risking their lives and they're having church in basements and in homes and hidden, and that's why the church is exploding in China, because they're being persecuted. Whenever the church is persecuted, there is explosive growth. Whenever the church is comfortable and just left to be, the church becomes to get lazy. The church begins to become a place of feel-good messages, of just a place to hang out, a place to feel good, a place to say you've been there, you did your Christian duty, so on and so forth. But when you begin to say your life is at risk, how many people would actually then come to church? That's when you know the wheat and the tares will be separated. Amen? We haven't experienced that here in the United States because our nation has been founded on Judeo-Christian values. And so one of the main characteristics of our church is the freedom to worship our God. And so we haven't experienced that type of attacks where we're afraid to come to church because of our lives. We experienced a little bit during COVID when the government said shut it down and it was non-essential, until the president at the time had to come out and say churches were essential. They could be open once again. But we saw that many people didn't come back to church. So that's just a little sign. That wasn't even a persecution strongly. That was just under the umbrella of, being a good neighbor, being healthy, so on and so forth. And look at how many people never came back to church after the 2020 COVID season took place. Many of these mega churches, they lost a lot of members. Other churches, smaller churches, lost members. So imagine when there is policemen and there's people out there saying, if you go to church, we will persecute you, prosecute you, and ultimately even kill you. Like they did in the New Testament times and currently going on. The persecution of the church is even worse now around the world. Around the world, not here in the United States. We don't understand it. If you never traveled into these types of countries or met people from these types of countries, right now the church is being persecuted at a higher level than during the times of the New Testament. Throughout the nations, you go into the Muslim nations, you risk your life to serve God. You go into these communist nations, you risk your lives to serve God. And so that's what's happening around us.